Hello everybody, this is Danny Barker here of the Cinematic Mind, and you?
Angus Davidson.
And here today, or tonight as it is right now, we are basically going to be talking about The Martian, Ridley Scott's new sci-fi epic on Mars.
Right, but firstly, so this is your first video, this is your first movie review, isn't it?
Legit, yeah.
This is your first legit
Most
movie
likely.
review, and this is your first time on YouTube properly as well.
Well, I do have a YouTube channel, of course, and then I used to have a YouTube channel back in 2010 all the way to 2011, but that's another story.
Right. And then this is also your first time on my channel as well. So.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So, one of the first things we should get to know firstly is how do I know you? So obviously we know each other from studying AS film at Collier's in Horsham. And so we did 2 different short films, so we had to produce a sort of a media project.
Around, I think it was 3 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, around 3 minutes. And
which was, you had to either choose a chase, a letter,
that's it.
dark room, or what's the last one?
No, it was a chase, a thriller, or a, sort of a letter, or something like that. Sort of a template, or a sort of a theme or an idea.
Yeah.
And so so obviously we met from that, and then we went on to produce, so I went on to produce Jamina, and you went on to produce
Adjudication, which is a dark room thriller, really.
Yeah, and that was really good fun making that, wasn't it?
It definitely was really, really exciting making our own film projects, especially considering that it was only, 2 weeks of actually pre-preparing, doing the production, and then finishing it off with the editing and sound effects.
Yeah.
It was definitely worth it, but honestly, during the filming for my project, it was literally only, basically, for setting it up for like 4 hours, and we literally only had, when I was working on my film project, only 1 hour and a half, because the camera I had was absolutely shit. And how bad was it? 1, it kept running out of battery every 3 minutes. 2, there was no microphone port.
But it did enough to get nominated for Best Editing, was it?
Best Editing and Best AS Film.
Best AS Film.
And surprisingly, your film only had
Jamina,
Best AS Film, but no nominations for Best Cinematography or Editing.
I was quite surprised.
That is very surprising.
Yeah.
And you took the challenge of mainly doing your project by yourself.
That's really funny.
And I will never forget this, when you decided to do your film project on your own, our film studies teacher literally, well, how do we say this? He literally underestimated you. He literally said, no, Gus. I'm being honest, right? If you really want to do a film project, you're going to have to be in a pair or in a group.
I think I got my back. I got my revenge in the speech. The speech
is perfection. The awards night, best moment.
Collier was brilliant. Anyway, so how can we watch your short film if we want to see it?
Basically, you can go and watch my short film on my YouTube channel known as The Cinematic Mind, where it's my main video I have. Also, I make basically brief short films, basically taking the piss out of basically opinions on films, how they experience with TV, and how they experience with video games.
And if we want to find you on Instagram, what's that?
That is also The Cinematic Mind.
Right, now let's talk about that.
The Martian.
We have so many things to talk about. What do we want to cover? We want to cover Matt Damon, the plot, the director,
Ridley Scott.
What else?
Cast, visual effects,
cinematography, editing. Okay, right. So which one first?
Oh God, where do we begin?
Where do we begin
with The Martian?
What is it? It's a sci-fi high-budget thriller. No,
high-budget. Thriller. I wouldn't say it's a thriller.
Live action.
Let's see. The premise of The Martian is basically we are at Mars, where we meet up with a team of Ares 3, where basically they are doing a major mission on Mars, and during their mission, unfortunately, they discover a massive storm is coming their way, and during their evacuation, one of their members, played by Matt Damon, his character is...
He was fantastic in that.
Yes, he was. Mark Watney, who is a PhD botanist, and basically he ends up getting taken away from his crew by an accident during the ferocious storm, and the crew basically end up having to abandon him, basically going back to Earth, and he ends up trying to find a way of surviving.
I think that was quite impressive how he managed to survive that. He went
impressed.
Flying when he got hit.
Well,
was pretty
What
funny.
was it? It was like a communication system?
It was a communication system, hit him, got
in
rugby tackled. He went absolutely flying. You didn't even see.
You don't see it.
You don't see it. And then you just see the sort of the after shot of him, sort of buried in the sand, and then sort of
Slowly raising.
it goes from there. That is the
And basically,
scratching the top.
Usually with this
story.
type of situation, the main character would basically be confused at what he's going to do. How's he going to live? How's he going to survive?
How is he going to communicate as well? That was
To his
probably
crew.
one of the main things.
But what he's luckily got on a major advantage of is he basically has a PhD in, what was it?
Plant making.
Plant making? Yes, let's call it plant making. And he somehow...
That is it though. There is a
Yeah.
PhD in plant making. I didn't even know
But
that was a
actually-
degree, let alone a PhD.
It is an accomplishment for Matt Damon. And basically, it is him listening to, as he calls it, disco music, really bad disco music, and watching episodes from Happy Days.
I think the way he describes it is he's sort of talking to the blog, and he's like, "I'm gonna have to science the shit out of this."
Yes,
That is
he
just
does.
That's a brilliant line. That was one of my favourite lines ever.
What happens next is then NASA, back on Earth, after basically giving out a few speeches that Watney's passed away, basically discover after Matt Damon's character, Mark Watney, basically communicates to NASA, they basically discover he's alive, but they haven't told the crew yet.
Exactly. And then what goes from there? So they've sort of set on Mars. They need to abandon it. Matt Damon's still alive. He's communicating with them, and then they sort of decide, right, we need to go rescue him.
Yes.
So that is the
simple
story.
premise.
That is the story because
That's the
we don't
premise.
want to give away too many. We don't want to give away
We
any
can't
spoilers.
give away.
We can't give away spoilers.
But let's begin what we
So
really enjoy.
that's the start of the story. So we got that sorted out.
Let's
What
begin.
next? What's next?
Let's begin what we. The thing with Ridley Scott is definitely a fascinating filmmaker because he's such a visual director with Alien, Blade Runner,
Yeah.
Gladiator, Black Hawk Down,
Real
Thelma and
classics.
Louise.
Real classics.
But to me, with Ridley Scott, I've always had a problem with him nowadays, ever since he's made Gladiator and Black Hawk Down, because he definitely still continues to show off his visual direction.
Yeah.
However, I think my main problem with Ridley Scott is ever since those two movies came out, he always has a problem with screenwriting.
Yeah.
Like, he basically ends up having these premises and characters that are interesting, but they end up being either convoluted, too long, or just a mess.
Exactly.
And Prometheus is one of those films. I admire it for its
I liked
visual.
Prometheus. I
Here's
thought
the thing.
Prometheus was good.
I admire it for its visuals. Cinematography, definitely. The performance by Michael Fassbender and his character.
The visual
of
effects
actual-
were quite mind-blowing as well.
as the android
Sound
David.
design as well.
Sound design.
Really good.
The plot to me, I could definitely tell that the screenplay was rushed. And the reason I say that is because the characters, except David,
It sort of
played
just
by-
started. It didn't even do like a backstory. It just sort of. It literally was as if they skipped the introduction. It was as if like they had started the film. It was weird. It was.
No.
It was an introduction of like the other species. Like
I say this.
Like a taster.
My main problem with the film is the characters. They just were idiots. Absolute idiots. The only likable character in the whole film was basically David's.
it felt a little bit like a horror film, a typical crap horror film, didn't it? In a way, in terms of the characters.
You know, the funny thing is that a lot of people found the scene with the alien, with the surgeon,
Yeah,
scene
exactly.
scary. Here's my problem. Okay, understandably this is an intense scene, but have you noticed when the main character leaves that surgeon
Yeah.
machine, have you noticed that she walks around the whole spaceship and she doesn't feel pain?
No, she does.
The
yeah.
the staples don't come out. They're not bleeding at all. And then when you see the Martian, you see Matt Damon's character stapling his injury, and then later it comes off.
And it's like two staples,
Now,
and then boom,
when you
it's gone.
compare that, you can tell that the screenplay for Prometheus was rushed. Then we had the Counselor. You think with a cast with Michael Fassbender, Cameron Diaz, Javier Bardem, and with a screenplay by the iconic author Cormac McCarthy would be perfection.
Cameron
What a
Diaz.
screenwriting mess.
She, I think, in my opinion, is the new. She's the female Adam Sandler.
Do you know it's
There
funny?
was-
You know it's funny with her as an actress because last year I think it's basically been her worst year.
Yeah, you know, again,
Think
what
about
is
it.
it? She had the other woman.
The other woman, Annie, the shit Annie remake,
Yeah, she got what was it?
Razzie
For
award
that. Wow.
for the other woman. Honestly, deserved.
She was so shit.
If anyone tries to defend that movie and they say it's like one of those, oh, women are awesome and they're independent, How?
It's true.
The premise is basically women want men or want revenge. What? How? Why? No. Enough said.
Just no.
And
Just
then,
no.
lastly, for Ridley Scott, he came out with last year with Exodus. Was it Gods and Kings?
Gods and Kings. That's a funny one actually, because I watched that in 3D as well, and that alone, the 3D, is a big thing we're going to talk about. But firstly,
The 3D for the Martian.
firstly,
Oh, God.
Ridley Scott.
Now this time, this is where I say Ridley Scott finally managed to get a great screenwriter of Drew Goddard from The Cabin in the Woods.
I like that film.
I really like that
Yeah.
film, and honestly, it's really nice to see Ridley Scott get great screenwriters, because the main character of The Martian, Mark Watney, he's really likable. He's a very optimistic
Character.
character.
No, you sort
He's
of
a
have
very
faith in him.
he's
Yeah,
a very
exactly.
determined character, but he's also funny. He doesn't really get upset much throughout the film. He's very confident. But it's not like he doesn't have any dramatic moments. He does have genuine reactions to the people on NASA when basically downsides to him happen. And he just keeps going and going and...
Yeah, it was quite funny the way they did it, because usually I found when they overuse a main actor,
yeah.
it gets boring, but I
Yeah.
wanted to see more of him.
I was impressed, but with this kind of character, when they don't know the situation they're in, even though they've been built up with a lot of training and all, they just sort of, after time, they'll be struggling to try and sort out the situation, and then they'll come up with a situation eventually near the end. This is a character that some people really needed.
Yeah.
And granted, this is coming from people... Have you read the original book by...
No, I haven't.
Andy Ryer? I don't think I've read the original book, but I know so many people have gone on about this book now at the moment, being a contemporary sci-fi classic.
Yeah.
And then we have basically his story, basically him trying to survive on Earth,
Yeah.
while we basically see the people working at NASA.
So it's a nice combo, isn't it,
It's
between
basically
Earth
not-
and Mars?
Basically, not just Earth and Mars, basically NASA trying to find out a way to rescue Watney, and then basically the crew that have basically evacuated from Mars, basically just talking with each other and basically discussing what's going to happen.
Yeah. One thing I was really glad about the narrative, I found this in Elysium, is that you think that when you see the trailer, you think, oh, this is obviously going to be based, mainly on Mars or mainly on the actual Elysium
Oh,
ship.
yes.
And you sort of get to the film and it's actually entirely on Earth, and it completely...
Mostly.
It sort of tricks you,
It never-
where this literally goes back and forth, and it does it really well. Really well.
And I think it's really interesting because they have such a huge cast, and they don't waste any of their performances.
Yeah.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, really, really great performance. Jeff Daniels, another great performance.
All of it overall was solid.
Kate Mara, who unfortunately has ended up being in that Fantastic movie, Fantastic 4, and now she's in this. At least the funny thing is that both Kate Mara and Rooney Mara have basically had one bad movie and one great movie.
Yeah.
That's really interesting to know. I bet they had a deal at the offices at the film studio saying, right, ladies, right, you two, we want you to do this shit movie and we want you to do this good movie. Basically, one of you would just be award winner. You will probably not get awards, but you'll probably just be in a kick-ass movie.
Exactly.
At the cost of a shit one. Oh well. And then we have on the crew, basically Jessica Chastain.
I did like the crew, but sort of when it got to a point where it was like, I'm not that interested in that anymore. I'm more interested in Matt's part of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered the story. Have we've gone through Matt Damon? We've gone through
the
done through a
performances.
crap load of Ridley Scott. Visual effects. That was really solid. I think. I mean, there wasn't that much of it in a way. It was more. I don't know how to describe it.
These wide...
It was more nice
really
shots rather than just
shots,
pure
these
CGI.
Extreme long
Yeah.
shots of Mars. This is the thing with Ridley Scott. When he has a great screenplay, he can take advantage of the world as a second character. When you watch Blade Runner, when you watch Alien, the background, the worlds he creates are basically the second character. Really, it's not a joke, especially when you see them, you're so immersed in them. He manages to create them all thrilling, all mysterious, very intriguing. And Mars here, I just want to say that this is how people want to see Mars.
Yeah.
And this is during a time now where it's basically been confirmed that there is basically water on Mars, ironically. Right. And you can tell that this movie has been really researched.
Yeah.
Into the set design of NASA on Earth, was it the space station?
Yeah. One thing we should do is swap mics. Carry on.
Oh god. But what was your favourite part of the visual effects, do you think?
I mean, what was really nice is that they didn't overdo the CGI. They kept it to nice, pure cinematography. Definitely. And they used that with the visual effects to just get a really nice cinematic shot.
But then again, sometimes with Ridley Scott, he does generally have visual effects with his set designs mainly.
Yeah.
I think with the outside, it's definitely genuine location on Mars. I guess with the space, however, it's just... I guess you could say it's CGI, but sort of a mixture of...
but they kept it really... I think they nailed it.
Yes.
It really felt immersive. I think, it looked really nice. It really felt immersive. You really felt you're on Mars.
It's really... The villain isn't really people. It's Mars. You've got survival. Yeah. It's vulnerable.
Instead,
it's unpredictable.
It's not an alien. It's not this or that. It's just where
Mars
they are.
is so dangerous. Seriously. And you feel so sorry for this character because despite his intelligence... of managing to grow potatoes from basically, well, how do we say this clearly?
From his own shit.
Feces. Glorious feces.
That was a real sort of nice, gruesome moment. It's sort of like, it showed us sort of...
Very funny.
It was weird. I never knew that is how they store their crap. Is that how they store their crap? Does it automatically wrap it up?
Well, I don't think that they would have to shut the toilet, wouldn't they?
See, what we found in the film is that when we're actually looking at Matt Damon actually getting sort of the manure, we found that when you actually go to get it, it was actually sort of in nice sort of tinfoil packets, and that confused me. I thought, who does that? Does somebody get the crap and mold it, or does a machine do that? I just that was something I wondered.
I guess Ridley Scott is taking advantage of in space no one can hear you scream because basically he's on his own.
Yeah.
And basically I just really think it's really fascinating the way it develops trying to communicate down to NASA. And really, you can definitely tell by this movie, especially on NASA, on Earth, it's researched really well. I could imagine there would be some inaccuracies because... to me, if it's a science fiction movie, it's not going to be 100% real. I mean, Gravity, Von Kron's Gravity wasn't entirely accurate. Even Interstellar sometimes wasn't. You could sort of question, but The Martian to me is definitely the sci-fi film I can think off the top of my head as of this decade, basically where the science, you don't really get irritated by it. You just don't question it.
Yeah.
You accept it really well. Even if people can say whether it's accurate or not, that's up to them. But you can definitely tell it's really researched. Do you agree?
One of the small... Yeah. No, absolutely. One of the things I really liked was the small changes they showed. They did this in Interstellar, and it was about physical changes. So sort of near to the end, sort of when it came up to day 300, he was sort of walking out the shower, and you could see his whole body had completely transformed. It was really it was a very small thing that they changed, but it was a real moment where you sort of realised what is happening to him. And the reason I say that from Interstellar, as an example, is sort of when they come out, they come back onto the ship and they realise that they've been there 27 years later. 20 years later. Yeah. And his whole body is so different because he's 20 years older. It's just small differences like that just really make it pure sci-fi.
Yes.
Just make it real... just makes it what sci-fi means, pretty much. Just
There's
future,
other things I'm
change
really
in
impressed by
time.
this movie. The sound design.
Yeah.
Brilliant. This is, I think this year I can think of, in terms of
so many different films that have got great sound design.
I definitely think the films I've seen so far, if we're talking about great sound design, it's definitely this film, Everest, and definitely Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, Mad Max Fury Road alone.
But this Martian one, it really does feel accurate, where you can hear the pressure of the atmosphere of Mars.
And they really use that to enhance it.
They take advantage of it, especially in the more vulnerable situations that the main character goes through. It really, really, really ends up making the experience even more intense.
The fucking 3D. The fucking 3D.
Oh. Do you know?
Oh my god.
The thing with 3D is this, for me.
I am generally not a big fan of 3D. I don't see the point in 3D. I think most people can agree that it's not a necessary format
it's just
in cinema.
It doesn't work.
To me, the only time 3D has ever worked, personally from my own experience with 3D, is, of course, at theme parks. Then, in addition, you've got IMAX 3D when it's actually filmed in IMAX 3D.
And then you've got sort of things like the Scientific Museum as well, which work really well.
I respect that place a lot. But then, you know what I think is really baffling? When we expected a film like this, we were shocked to find out this wasn't in IMAX at all.
Yeah, just that alone.
We were thinking this was going to be in IMAX until it came out, and it was like, Memphis is still in IMAX.
It's a high-budget film. It's sci-fi. It's got a great director. It's got to be in IMAX. It's not.
Surely.
It's 2D or 3D.
It's just in 2D or 3D-ish D-box.
And D-box, yeah, if you're stupid.
Which we
really stupid.
We didn't really pay for the 3D. Well, the 3D D-box one. We just paid for 3D.
Just for 3D.
Now, in my time, I've seen some really shit 3D. There's been 3D that's
so shit.
That's so people, it gives you a headache. But this is a different story. Not since 2010 with Tron Legacy have I seen a lazy effort with 3D in my life. Oh my god.
It's so bad.
This is the worst 3D I have ever seen. How is it the worst 3D I've ever seen? This is not because it gives you a headache. Not a single frame of this entire movie was in 3D.
The only 3D...
The logos were in 3D. And you know what's funny? The only bad experience like this was Tron Legacy. And that had a sign at the beginning of the film that literally quote, "I'm not kidding, ladies and gentlemen. Dear viewers, the following film presented is not filmed in 3D, but there are specific scenes specifically filmed in 2D that will hopefully enhance the movie experience."
At least they were honest.
Yeah, but the honesty's bullshit when you find out they're gonna rob your money. Of course it's gonna be
bullshit.
They're robbing your money.
3D is bullshit. The only films I've found...
Do you know what I think is ironic? When you know DreamWorks is probably one of the only companies that actually do legit...
They can do it well.
Great 3D.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign. You're making animation films that can do like 3D in this format than live action. Never pay for the 3D. It's a waste of time.
See this.
It is an absolute
in 3D.
waste of time.
Right, I'm gonna get this letter up.
I cannot wait to hear this.
So again, because I've complained to Cineworld, and I'm gonna get their exact response up there, their explanation.
Do you know, if anyone finds the 3D in this good, what cinema are you at? Tell me. I want to know what 3D is good at your cinema or not.
They convert it from 2D to 3D.
Post-conversion.
And that kind of works. It doesn't work well, it's enough. But when it comes down to this, the glass has actually made it worse. They actually made... I've never seen that before.
Change. No, and when we took the 3D glasses off, not a single frame was 3D. It was 2D. 2D
every time. Every scene as well. Not one scene, not...
It's luckily I did go see this again the week after it came out. But let's see what this letter is, because I'm so excited to see this letter.
This spectacle to people if it's not performing it. It's like you're going to a 3D film and there is no 3D.
The thing with 3D, all these gimmicks nowadays, here's the thing. I don't see the point with 3D now. It's just like the same thing you get in the 1950s, the same thing you get in the 1980s, and now I don't see the point. And I've noticed it's every 30 years. Now we've got D-Box, which is...
Yeah. Right. Here we go.
Let's see it.
Dear Mr. Davidson, thank you for your email. I'm sorry to hear you are unhappy with your recent visit to Cineworld. I can certainly appreciate your disappointment at having your experience ruined by lack of 3D effects.
What is it now? What does it say?
Disappointed at having your experience ruined by lack of 3D effects. No, it's not lack of 3D effect. It's lack of bullshit. It's lack of...
It's not a single frame. A single frame of the film was in 3D. Amazing as they put it.
We aim to provide an extreme play cinematic experience to our customers, and it is disappointing to read that this was not your experience. I wonder why. Isn't that odd?
Without a doubt, there must be a problem with
In the event that you're unhappy with your performance, Cineworld staff are more happy to attempt to offer a solution to where possible, providing that they've been informed of this during the performance. Now, this is actually quite funny. I didn't actually know this. For this reason, we do ask customers who are unhappy with any aspect of their visit to leave the auditorium within 20 minutes of start time of the film, and we will provide a full refund. I'm going to read that last sentence again. For this reason, we do ask any customers who are unhappy with any aspect of their visit to leave the auditorium within 20 minutes of the start of the film, and a full refund will be processed. Unfortunately, we are unable to process a refund in the event that you are unhappy with the conditions of the performance, as you have viewed the entire film, as it says literally, as I quote, as you have viewed the film in its eternity. Please accept my apologies for any frustration experienced during this visit, and I do hope any future visits to the cinema are more enjoyable. Kind regards, Lucas, Unlimited Team, Cineworlds. Cineworld.
Let's just see my version. Let's just say my version of it. Dear, let's see. Hold on. Dear Mr. Davison, we kind of knew this was not going to be good for ED in this situation. We guessed that the film studios robbed your money there. Apologise. Au revoir. Yeah.
Well,
at least we finally got a response.
Okay, so we've got a response. We've talked about the 3D. Is there anything else we need to go over?
I think
should we talk about it overall? I think it was great.
I think it is a very, very, very impressive film, and it's nice to see Ridley Scott return to grace after it's nice to see Ridley Scott actually care about a good screenplay. He's actually cared about getting a great screenwriter, and with his combination of his great direction, he provides with probably his best film for a long, long time. I don't think ever since Black Hawk Down have we ever witnessed a great Ridley Scott film. In fact, the only two films I can think of Ridley Scott recently would probably be either American Gangster or Matchstick Men. But this, to me, this is definitely one of Matt Damon's best performances, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think they chose the right person.
Perfection.
It's funny because it's you would sort of see it as an action film, but it's not really.
It's not. It's just a survival.
He nails it because obviously he's been in films like the Bourne Identity trilogy. Absolutely nailed it in that. That was an amazing performance. Obviously, he's been absolutely amazing in doing things like winning an Oscar for Good Will Hunting. But now he's actually done a sort of a sci-fi thriller, and he's actually nailed it.
It's very funny that he and Jessica Chastain can come out of Interstellar and do another one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not so bad for people who really like sci-fi then.
I mean, it was funny when I saw the trailer because I got very confused.
I think people definitely had a skepticism towards, especially after Prometheus, definitely getting a bit controversial.
I just found it too relatable to Interstellar, the fact that he sort of just happened to be sort of in this sort of sci-fi theme.
I think it would be funny if anyone calls this a prequel to Interstellar. I will laugh my head off. If I ever meet people who get this confused with a prequel to Interstellar. Slap them now! Get out! Get out!
Go home. You're
in
drunk.
your dustbin.
Go home. Right. Is there
I think the only other problem I have with the movie, as much as I love this movie, I think it's one of my favourite films of the year. I will admit that there's a specific section in the third act that goes on a little too long. Yeah. It's really well researched, really well acted, really well directed, but I think for the pacing of this specific section, it's on NASA. It's just a little... I think they could have cut some of it down just to get the pacing a lot better.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is basically, besides... We had Moon. Duncan Jones' Moon. A very underrated sci-fi thriller. We had Gravity, one of the only sci-fi films in history to get major Oscars. We had Interstellar. Basically, this 21st century's 2001. And finally, a grace return of Ridley Scott with this intense, but at the same time, a very funny, engaging, well-researched film.
Yeah.
Definitely, as of my rating, I would definitely say a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. That is high.
10 out of 10.
So this is funny because obviously you would have seen from my reviews, I'm very specific on this. I'm trying to think what I'd relate this to. I mean, I would relate it to Interstellar, but I thought Interstellar was it's so much better on so many levels. This is very interesting because I haven't actually thought about this overall in terms of just my opinion. It ticked all my boxes: cinematography, story, acting,
editing,
narrative,
soundtrack,
screenplay.
Never forget the soundtrack.
Yeah,
I'm impressed by that because
went over a lot of stuff to cover.
Review.
Definitely a lot of stuff. Right, now let's think about things we've got coming up. So we've got Mad Max, Everest. What else?
The Walk. Do you think?
The Walk. I'm
planning to go see The Walk.
What about what we've got TV shows as well, I guess, like The Walking Dead and stuff. That's starting on Monday, so that's going to be good. Again, as you said, the Everest review is going to be interesting. It's going to be controversial.
I think it's going to be interesting, especially from your.
See, I didn't like it, but you did. You loved it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
So that's really was impressed by that movie.
Yeah.
So basically, thank you very much for watching. You can follow me on my YouTube channel, The Cinematic Mind.
And of course, you can follow us on Instagram as well, where we're both constantly updating. I'm always on Instagram.
All the time for me.
All the time. You need to get Snapchat.
I'm not getting Snapchat.
You've
no,
got to get it. Get Snapchat.
Look, this is coming from someone who didn't like, what was it, Tumblr? No.
Oh, no, Tumblr's for girls. We also got Facebook as well. So apart from that, thank you for watching.
Thank you very much for watching. Good night. Is my hair a mess or not?
Do you want to do it? Just say, hey guys, or what's going on guys, or whatever. Or like, here is, because like, I'm not going to turn it off for a while. So we don't have to worry about like doing different cuts.
Okay.
What should I say? What should you say? Hey, I don't know. Hey, just say this is this is the Martian review.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So. Go for it. Yeah.
This is just so weird.
Don't want to do it.
No, I do.
Yeah, I understand it because this is your first time doing it. Because I've done I've done it like 100 times. No, thousands of times actually.
How long have you been doing it
since 2009? So, yeah, don't feel embarrassed because I've done it so many times.
YouTube channel, but that got deleted like 2011.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Just what to be.
Oh, this is so good.
Oh God. Right.
It is recording, isn't it?
Is it? Oh no.
One of the first things we should
over, and during their evacuation, one of their members, Matt. What was it, Matt? Oh, was it?
Man.
No.
It's the character. The character or the actor?
The character.
The character. I don't know the characters actually.
Hold on. Oh.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon's character. No.
What is it called? What is his name?
I keep forgetting it.
What is it?
I keep forgetting.
I don't even know what his character's name is.
Oh God. It's lucky we're doing takes, like different takes, because.
See, if we're doing this in different takes, this would take ages because we'd have to like stop this.
It's so much better just doing one take. Matt Watney. Matt, was it? No. Let's talk about The Martian. The premise is simply the manned
Right, so this is an audio test, so if I now speak, and Natalie now speaks.
Of course. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, God.
Right, I'm trying to get up Cineworld's response. Okay. Slowly loading. Nearly there. Right. Search. Cineworld. Search. Wait, is it auditorium? It is an auditorium. Right. Any customers who are unhappy with any aspects of their visit to leave the auditorium within 20 minutes. So obviously, because it was just so bad, I sort of just had to complain to them saying, look, you can't just be sort of giving this smile.
What was?
It's so funny.
Oh no!
It's just. Should I do a monotone one?
Yeah, it just looks.
It's distracting. Oh no! Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's presentation will tell you why you should not watch 3D in the cinema. Let's begin. Me and Gus went to see The Martian the day it came out to mainstream cinemas. Now we paid for Real D 3D. Basically just wear them like this. And let's just say, if you want a word of advice, this piece of gear needs throwing in the bin. Why? I repeat, not a single frame was in 3D. How bad was the 3D? It was so bad. I swear, people in the audience, not a lot of people in the audience, were flicking their 3D glasses like this. Let me show you how they did it. Let me show you how they did it. Are you ready? This is how they did. They react to the 3D. Ready? 3, 2, 1. What the fuck was this? See? That's why you don't watch shit in 3D. Just go pay in 2D. You don't need this. Throw it in the trash. The end.